the song Vignette, there's a few interpretations of it. I think for me, it makes the most sense when I look at it from perspective of addiction and what that can feel like at times, a certain type of season of that. And that's why this song is very special to me, and I'm glad now that it's out.
Warning, there will be mentions of alcohol and substance addictions as well as self-harm all throughout this video. If that's not something you want to hear about right now, this is the time to click off. If you want to proceed, here we go. Hi, my name is Anna, and I'm glad you're here. Today I want to talk about a topic of conversation that's been circulating in the clique for years, but has recently gained traction since the release of Clancy last year, and especially when the demo version of Doubt was trending on TikTok, and they eventually released it one day before my birthday, and in honor of Clancy's first birthday. I want to dissect the overall concept of Clancy the album and exclude the story elements relating to Dima, the character of Clancy, and the bishops, and focus on what the album is saying about Tyler's personal experiences. And regardless if Doubt was trending on TikTok or not, it was meant to be on the Clancy Tour set list, and the song perfectly ties all of the themes of Clancy into a neat little bow. Since the Doubt demo was trending, I've seen new and old fans alike learn that Tyler and Josh are Christians, and I've seen comments saying that the band used to write about God all the time, but now they do not. And a friend of mine, actually, who is also a Christian, expressed to me that they were disappointed that Clancy didn't mention God like their old music did. I want to connect the lyrical references and explain how Clancy at its core is about God and the cycle of addiction, which, as you've gathered from the title, is Tyler's addiction to doubt. I want to preface that this is my lyrical analysis, and based on the lyrics and biblical references, I've come to this conclusion. And you absolutely can and should apply any meaning you want onto these songs. I'm not trying to inflict my personal opinions or beliefs onto anyone, and whether or not you agree with my interpretation, I think you'll find this analysis and breakdown of Clancy, the album, proves what a lyrical virtuoso Tyler Joseph is. The beautiful thing about this music is that it can be applied to so many different situations, and it's true no matter what. Now let's get started. All the way back on the song Clear from the album Regional at Best, Tyler says, "I wish that I had two faces to prove which theory works, yelling on the street corner or cleverly masking your words." Christians have always admired Tyler for being able to talk about his faith in mainstream music so effortlessly, in a subliminal way. But suddenly, with the release of Clancy, the ability to dissect lyrics for a more complex meaning has flown out the window. Now, in their defense, Clancy is the most read between the lines Tyler has ever been with his faith-based lyricism. And honestly, this comment from the clip at the start of the video where he says the song Vignette is about addiction really did throw a lot of people off and has led most fans to believe that the album Clancy has a theme about addictions to substances or possibly self-harm. But ultimately, the relapse he's referring to is, as he references on Backslide and Snapback, his addiction to doubting God's existence. Clancy as a whole reflects this theme, and there is plenty of evidence to back this up, with how he specifically chooses to write about his experiences with doubt, religious guilt, and his relationship with God in general. Going all the way back to the beginning of 21 Pilots' official discography, we start out with a downright insane opening track. Implicit demand for proof, ironically, was very disrespectful towards God, considering the second verse he writes, "I mean no disrespect. I am simply very perplexed by your ways." The entire song is demanding that God prove his power to Tyler. In the Bible, Deuteronomy 6:16 and Matthew 4:7 basically to warn the reader not to test or tempt the Lord. Even in prayer, it is wrong to demand anything of God, whether it be healing or wrath. Tyler is making a very bold and dangerous demand to be taken out of this world by God, to hit two birds with one stone, essentially. Tyler wants God to prove he is powerful enough to do it, and to punish Tyler for even considering he could not. On Addict with a Pen, he makes it very clear what he's addicted to if you have the Bible verses to reference. Many say that the evidence that Addict with a Pin is about self-harm is because of this video of Tyler performing the song live.
Of course I'll be here again. See you tomorrow, but it's the end of today, end of my ways as a walking denial.
I am not going to outright deny that Tyler has made many references to self-harm in his music, but this is simply not the focus of this song. Just a physical representation to show he hates himself for what he thinks. And it's possible he committed self-harm as a way to literally punish himself for thinking these thoughts about God. The two concepts are interconnected across his work. Let's compare the lyrics to the Bible verse that they're referencing. In Addict with a Pin, he says, "In fact, I'm only at it again, as an addict with a pin who's addicted to the wind, as it blows me back and forth, mindless, spineless, and pretend." The wind blowing him back and forth is a metaphor for his weak faith and fleshly desire to be of the world and not of God. This could be interpreted as simultaneously pretending to be a good Christian believer and also a heathen, a walking contradiction. This section of lyrics is a direct reference to the Bible verse Ephesians 4:14, which reads, "Then we will no longer be infants, tossed back and forth by the waves and blown here and there by every wind of teaching and by the cunning and craftiness of people in their deceitful scheming." Tyler's faith is so weak, the wind could blow it away. He continues, "Of course I'll be here again. See you tomorrow." This is a daily routine for Tyler. He cannot get enough of questioning God and will truly never be able to satisfy his literal addiction to doubting his existence. But he can't fully stop believing either, even if he claims he can stop altogether, which he writes, "But it's the end of today, end of my ways as a walking denial. My trial was filed as a crazy suicidal head case." Denial. The guilt consumes so much of his mind he wants to end his own life because he will inevitably repeat this cycle of denial again and again. And that is the main theme of Clancy, the album. Tyler writes on Backslide, "I don't want to backslide to where I've started from. There's no chance I will shake this again." The backsliding in question is falling back into his tendencies to question God. He believes there is no way his faith could ever recover from being in constant jeopardy. He writes, "Because I feel the pull, waters over my head, strength enough for one more time." But he's going to keep trying, just one more time, to mend the relationship. But we know this is an endless cycle. I think it's interesting that he flips the metaphor of water to be negative, where an addict with a pin, his mind is likened to a desolate desert, and the water is used as a metaphor for God's presence, where in Backslide, water is used as a metaphor for his overwhelming suffering. "Reach my hand above the tide. I'll take anything you have if you could throw me a line." This is reminiscent of implicit demand for proof, not just asking God to throw a literal line to pull him out of the water, but the act of the line being thrown is proof that God exists. He writes, "I should have loved you better. Do you think that now's the time you should let go? It's over my head." Love in this context means belief. Tyler is suggesting God should just get rid of him for constantly doubting. Vignette depicts the moment Tyler is at his lowest, when he has just backslided. Is that a word? The key lyric that ties this song into my theory is, "It's a tribute to zombies of which I've become." Tyler mentions zombies in the song Heavy Dirty Soul, where he says mindless zombies walking around with a limp and a hunch, saying stuff like, "You only live once." The zombies are a metaphor for people who live recklessly and do not think critically or intentionally. He's surrounding himself with thoughtless individuals who make him question his own beliefs. Clinging to promises, fighting off the vignette. Tunnels cave, visions fade, swallowed by the vignette. The vignette represents doubt and confusion, obscuring his vision, a direct reference to Blurryface, the character that represents his insecurities. He's promised himself he wouldn't do this again, but it's impossible to resist it. He's thinking, there's no way I'm headed there, always sure-footed, educated, and was never scared. Headed there meaning headed towards doubt, which is a path Tyler is familiar with. Tyler thought he could never become like the zombies if he was so well educated on what he believes. Now he can't hold out his hand without it shaking. But now he's grown and thinks for himself, and he is scared and unsure of what he believes. Hounded by a bunch of dead when the search party found him. He's been missing for a while, and a search party has sent scouts out to find his body after being hounded by the zombies. Fresh off a binger in the woods, flesh covered in bites. Y'all already know what happens when you get bitten by a zombie. You're infected and you become one. And he is testing what is real, what is good. The test Tyler is referring to is questioning if God is truly real and good, which is something he's been told his whole life by the church, by the Bible, and yet he still doubts. This lyric is also a little ironic if you think about the Bible verses I mentioned earlier about not testing the Lord. No, not me, it's for a friend. No, no, not me, it's for a friend. No, no, not me, it's for a friend. No, no, not me, it's for a friend. Denial. This section of lyrics calls back to a repeated phrase in Polarize, where he says, "You know where I'm coming from. Though I am running to you, all I feel is deny, deny, denial." He is drawn to God and runs to him. But how could he run if he had not been far away at first? He repeats the same phrase again in the pre-chorus. He writes, "Wanted to be a better adversary to the evil I have done. I have none to show to the one I love, but deny, deny, denial." He refers to himself as a walking denial on Addict with a Pen, and Tyler also mentions denial on the song Ode to Sleep, where he says, "I'm not free, I ask forgiveness 3 times. Same amount that I denied, I 3 times MVP'd this crime." This is a direct biblical reference to when Jesus tells his disciples they will all deny him when he has been persecuted. From Matthew 26:33 through 34, Peter replied, "Even if all fall away on account of you, I never will. Truly I tell you," Jesus answered, "this very night, before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. The repetition is important, and you must note it across the 3 songs. All I feel is deny, deny, denial. I 3 times MVP'd this crime. No, not me, it's for a friend. No, no, not me, it's for a friend. No, not me, it's for a friend. No, not me, it's for a friend. Denial. Metaphorically, I'm a whore, and that's denial number 4. By saying, "No, not me, it's for a friend," Tyler is trying to convince the listener that he's no longer dealing with these issues, but simply asking these questions on behalf of someone else, when the reality is he is stuck in this vicious cycle of addiction. He will make progress, and then he will backslide. This is routine for him, and in a twisted way, he kind of likes it. The line, "Man, it's been a long night," directly references the countless mentions of nighttime rumination across the discography. A notable mention being Semi-Automatic, which reads with an optimistic outlook on the cycle at the end of the song. "By the time the night wears off, the dust is down and shadows burn. I will rise and stand my ground, waiting for the night's return." This mindset is what the song Next Semester is all about. A fresh start after reaching your lowest point. Snapback shows him at that weak and beaten down point in the cycle, and he writes, "Got a bad feeling that I'm about to break. Been a good streak, but the pressure's overweight. Is it even good for my head to keep track? Is it even good for him to count all the times he's denied God and begged for forgiveness if the number is so great?" In the first verse, he says, "Have I burnt all the bridges? Bite the hand that helps me, give it finger stitches." It's important to note the punctuation because it has confused some people in regards to the meaning. The hand he bites isn't helping give itself stitches. Tyler is doing the stitching. The hand belongs to God, who continues to help Tyler even if he doubts. Tyler is stitching up the hand, implying he is trying to stitch up the relationship he's attempted to sever by burning the bridges between them and even biting the hand of God, which implies he's denying God's help entirely. Blacklisted from forgiveness. Fooled you once. It's been 25 times. God is never fooled or surprised by Tyler. He's offered Tyler a hand over 25 times, knowing that the 26th time is around the corner. Tyler could never be blacklisted from forgiveness because God's mercy for Tyler is endless. "I've been praying for my elasticity to return to the way that it was," meaning brain elasticity, essentially wishing he was a kid again, with childlike faith and essentially nothing to dread over and not a doubt in his mind about what he believes. If I'm gonna snap next, then I gotta snap back to that childlike faith. And the neck belongs to Blurryface, I hope. And if he is going to overcome his adult fears and anxieties, he's got to snap back to that optimism to carry on, no matter how many times he succumbs to the fear and anxiety. Now, let's talk about navigating. I was going to go in order of the track list, but I realized it was easier to skip navigating and come back to it later because I needed all the previous points in place to make the context work. Navigating is essentially Tyler Joseph putting on a Taylor Swift cosplay because he is self-referencing and placing Easter eggs all over this track. He starts with, "I can't seem to turn the page. This haze around my face makes me feel all alone." The haze is referring to the vignette of doubt and confusion. And with that fear of being all by himself, he can't move forward. He says, "I know you see me standing still." This feels like a callback to the imagery brought up in Trees. Silent in the trees, standing cowardly. Trees paints the image of Tyler standing alone in a forest, pleading for God to make himself known. In Navigating, he writes, "But when our fingers touch, I feel my way back home." I think this is referencing the moment from Backslide and Snap Back, where God offers a hand, or fingers, to Tyler. Another biblical reference that found their way back home was the prodigal son, which Tyler likens himself to on the song Overcompensate. Let's do some lyrical comparison. And I'm going to break them down lyric by lyric, so just follow along. I'm going to rapid fire these. Hello, we haven't talked in quite some time. My oh my, don't know how long it's been. I know I haven't been the best of sons. Prodigal son done running. Hello, I've been traveling in the deserts of my mind. Pardon my delay. I'm navigating my head. The sand will slow him down as he's trying to make it through the mess that is his own mind. So it's taking him a while to navigate. Tyler pleads in the chorus of Navigating, give me some advice. I'm wasting all this time. I really love the present tense usage here. Tyler hasn't wasted time. He is currently wasting it. He's not regretting something in the past. This is his routine that he perpetuates daily and is in the middle of at this very moment. He writes, how things change so rapidly. I find my self-esteem then turns so cold. Tyler's relapses sometimes feel like whiplash. He goes from being self-assured to turning cold. He uses the metaphor of feeling cold many times to represent himself being distant from God. In Isle of Flightless Birds, he writes, I am cold, can you hear? In The Judge, I know my soul's freezing, hell's hot for good reason. In Fairly Local, the world around us is burning, but we're so cold. In Doubt, temperature is dropping, I'm not sure if I can see this ever stopping. And 10 years later, the cycle is still going strong. My oh my, don't know how long it's been. The fear of God abandoning him that he expresses on Doubt, he expresses again here on the bridge of Navigating. And now I'm trying to hold on to you because everybody leaves. Very obvious callback to one of their most popular songs from the early 2010s, Holding On To You, where in the bridge he pleads for someone to entertain his faith, either asking God to directly prove his own existence or for his fellow man to prove it for him. And the you he's holding on to here is God. Even when he isn't sure he fully believes in him, he can't bring himself to fully let go. Let's talk about a lyric that really tied everything together for me regarding a timeline for this theory. In Snap Back, Tyler says, got a bad feeling I'm gonna lose the lead, running from a thing that I kicked in 17. If what he kicked was his obsession with questioning God, that would explain why the album Trench that came out in 2018 made very few mentions of a strained relationship with God and mostly references God in a positive perspective. But there is one outlier. The final track off of Trench, Leave the City, as Tyler describes in this alternative press interview, is about a crisis of faith, and the first time he has actually entertained the idea of a world with no God. The song, for the most part, is a depressive and raw depiction of someone at their weakest point, where their fire, or their faith, is so dim you can hardly see it. But at the very end of the song, Tyler finds hope, because the faces facing him know what he means. And at the end of this interview, he considers himself a Christian at this point in time, even if he still doubts. Scaled and Icy, however, was released in 2021 during the height of a global pandemic, where many Christians began to feel a strained relationship with their faith because of the high-stress situation and being disconnected from their church family. Scaled and Icy pretty much made no mention of a strained or positive relationship with God across the track list. And something worth noting is Scaled and Icy is the first and only album where they did not thank God in the acknowledgments on the physical CDs. In 2024, the band once again thanked God on the Clancy acknowledgments. It's possible Tyler's relationship with God was so strained during the Scaled and Icy era that he did not want to mention God at all, which could be why the themes of relapse are so heavy on Clancy. It's possible his doubt and relationship with God was the worst it's ever been during that time, that he at one point considered the bridge between him and God completely burned, and he was truly lost. So when the album about starting over and trying to recover and make up for wasted time starts with the line, "Welcome back to Trench," it means way more than just sonically or in reference to the fictional world that he has created. The phrase, "Welcome back to Trench," for Tyler at least, means welcome home. Thank you so much for listening to my thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video and lyrical breakdown. This was really fun for me to put together, and I actually learned a lot of things. I've always appreciated Clancy, and I always, this message immediately clicked for me on what he was talking about. But there were definitely a couple of things that connected even more dots and made this album so much more beautiful to me. This band has meant a lot to me for the past 10 years. So I hope this video finds someone that will enjoy it as much as I enjoyed making it. And if you have any thoughts, opinions, if you disagree with what I've said today, or you thought I missed something that helps build on my theory, please drop it in the comments. I would love to start a conversation. I really enjoy talking about these kinds of topics. I hope everyone has a great day. Bye for now, or possibly forever if I never come up with another video idea. Have a great day.